My name is Lars Higdon. I'm the botanist naturalist with Dane County Parks. With staff and a number of volunteers, we work to manage our county natural areas. We do prescribed burning, prairie planting, invasive species control, and a number of tasks to restore and enhance our natural areas for wildlife and people to enjoy.
Here we are at Walking Iron County Park in northwest Dane County between the town of Mazomanie and the Wisconsin Riverway. Walking Iron is in the driftless area, which is typically thought of as being very hilly and rugged. This area, however, tends to be pretty gradual. A lot of sand terraces, flat sand fields and prairies. The reason for that is quite interesting. About 18,000 years ago, as the climate was warming and the glaciation was starting to fade in Wisconsin, the ice dam that had cut off the flow of the Wisconsin River up near the Baraboo Hills slowly started to break away. A body of water that was glacial Lake Wisconsin, many times the size of Lake Winnebago, had formed across the central sand plains of Wisconsin and now was being released down the Wisconsin Riverway. When that release happened, it happened very quickly, and it flowed with a ferocious torrent down the Wisconsin Riverway, dropping a lot of sand and gravel and cutting into the banks of hills like this one right here. So you have a lot of sand terraces, wetlands, but also many hills with steep banks like this that were carved by that flow. Here at Walking Iron County Park, this difference in topography, cattail, sedge meadow, and then as you move up the banks of this slope, you've got a north-facing climate that's a little bit cooler, damper, and more conducive to oak woodland habitats. And as you climb the slope up into the flat sand terraces, you have more open prairie, savanna, drier habitats as that direct sun hits the earth at more of a direct angle. So here at Walking Iron, we have a variety of communities. We're trying to enhance and restore these sites that have been degraded over time due to the encroachment of invasive species, the lack of wildfire, and the growth of a lot of trees and brush that we want to remove. So volunteers and staff have been working here over the last several years to remove undesirable trees, buckthorn, honeysuckle, and so forth, reintroduce wildfire or controlled burning, and reseed areas that were damaged due to agriculture. So as you enjoy Walking Iron County Park, there's a lot to see and do here, a lot of different communities to explore, and a lot of different plants and wildlife that inhabit those communities.
Here we have CALTHA palustris, marsh marigolds. Another name for it is cowslips. They tend to grow in very wet environments, on the edge of wetlands, even in standing water, as this individual is doing. It's a member of the buttercup family, classic buttercup looking flowers, yellow, coming out, extending above the foliage. The leaves tend to look like little lily pads, although they're above the water, rounded, almost heart shape. Blooms early in April into May, and the seeds form thereafter and turn into little, looks kind of like crowns or thorns in a circular pattern where the flowers were. Here we have round-lobed hepatica. There's two species of hepatica in Wisconsin, a round-lobed and a sharp-lobed hepatica. Both have 3 lobes to the leaves. The leaves tend to stay evergreen throughout the winter, even underneath the snow. By this time of the spring, the leaves have sort of withered away as the flowers come up from the ground. The flowers are kind of a light purplish, almost bluish look to them sometimes. Very fuzzy, hairy stems, and they're a member of the buttercup family also. A lot of buttercups blooming this time of year. They tend to grow in woodlands, moist all the way up to somewhat dry woodlands, and they're scattered throughout
the state of Wisconsin.
Here we have a nice stand of Dutchman's breeches. This species takes its name from the appearance of the flowers that appear to be like a laundry line of trousers drying in the sun. Dutchman's breeches is a spring ephemeral that comes up early in the spring before leaves have formed on the trees above and sunlight is getting all the way down to the forest floor. Once the leaves emerge on the trees above, Dutchman's breeches goes dormant back to its bulblets underground. It has a very unique seed dispersal mechanism that's only used by a few other species. It has food bodies attached to each seed called the lyosomes. These food bodies are very much desired by ants that gather them up and take them to their nests, consume the food on the side of the seed, and then cast the seed into a debris pile, which also happens to be a very fertile site for these seeds to germinate and grow. This is prairie buttercup, Ranunculus rhomboideus. It's a very short species, growing no taller than about 6 to 8 inches off the ground. Tends to inhabit dry prairies and open oak woodlands. What's fascinating about this species is that the lower basal leaves are very different from the upper stem leaves, as if taken from two different species and grafted together on a single plant. The lower leaves are very round, whereas the upper stem leaves are linear and deeply lobed. Here we are at PASQUE Prairie in Walking Iron County Park. PASQUE Prairie is a high-quality 5-acre sand prairie remnant. It was never planted by any person. It's simply a relic of the original prairie and savanna landscape of this region. It holds many species of native prairie plants and a remarkable diversity of prairie invertebrates, and we're so happy and fortunate to have this prairie in our Dane County Park system.
Here we have PASQUE, Anemone patens, a member of the buttercup family. It grows very low to the ground in high quality remnant prairies, typically sand prairies, dry outcroppings, dry woodlands. It has a number of really dense silky hairs covering the stem and foliage that help to insulate the plant as the cold spring wind blows across the prairie. The petals are pink, kind of light bluish, almost white sometimes, very large in diameter and open up as the morning progresses and the earth heats up. What's interesting is after the blooms are pollinated, the stem continues to grow higher and higher, and the seeds form long, silky hairs, appendages. And as those stems grow higher up, the wind is more exposed to those stems and seeds and carries the seeds across the prairie where they're dispersed and new populations can develop. PASQUE has become pretty rare nowadays. It's not threatened or endangered, but its range has contracted significantly as prairie has been lost across Wisconsin and the upper Midwest. We're very happy to have it here and very fortunate at Walking Iron County Park. With our management, we hope to preserve its future here and enhance the species so that it can spread and continue to be viable on this site. It's known as a harbinger of spring. It has been identified with blooming during the Pasque season of Passover or Easter, and it's a welcome sight for sore eyes after a long cold winter. We're happy to have PASQUE here, and we invite you to come and enjoy the blooms.
Here we have prairie smoke, Geum triflorum, a member of the rose family. Prairie smoke is a very short plant, grows very low to the ground, often in dense colonies with individual plants connected by the roots. The flowers are red, kind of nod down, drooping, and once pollinated, begin to turn upwards, where the seeds develop a long feathery appendage that is caught by the wind, much like clematis or pasque, and carried away. Prairie smoke grows in dry prairies, open woodlands, and is commonly found in remnant sites. Alongside prairie smoke, we have a number of small hills thistle plants greening up here in the spring. While thistles are often thought of as noxious weeds requiring management, Hill's thistle is a federally listed species that needs our protection and management to ensure its future survival. In midsummer, Hill's thistle puts up a small flowering stem, not more than a few inches, maybe a foot tall at the most, that flowers a classic thistle purple flower. Once pollinated, develops a fluff that carries the seed across the prairie.
Thanks for coming with us today on our journey to find spring blooming flowers. Here in Dane County, we're fortunate to have 13,000 acres of natural areas in every corner of the county. So wherever you happen to be in Dane County, whether it be western side of the county near Indian Lake, or southwestern side of the county near Donald, or all the way on the eastern side of the park system by Silverwood and Camrock, there's plenty of opportunity to see spring blooming flowers just outside your back door.